What's impressed you about Taelon in this game and throughout camp as he's, in his first year worked his way to what he's done so far?
Well, he's an experienced four-year guy in college, and he just he knows who he is. He knows what his strengths are. He's tough-minded. He is physical, doesn't mind contact. He's a better athlete than people think, and he can shoot the ball.
Do you have any update on Johnny or Quentin at this time, besides what we got mid-game?
Ankle and hamstring.
Do you know any severity at this time?
Ankle and hamstring.
Okay. Jarris played a lot today, a lot of statistical things from him. What did you see that you liked and didn't like in terms of his performance today?
He does a lot of good things out there. As a young player going into his third year, I mean, there's still a lot of growth there, and but he does a lot of special things with his vision, with his ability to guard, and his ability to rebound. And his passing is there, and he's been shooting the ball great, really, for the last couple of years.
What did you like about Quentin prior to the injury? 14 points, 6 of 8 shooting. What stood out to you about his play?
Quentin Jackson?
Yes.
Yeah, he's aggressive, and he's another guy that knows who he is and knows how he has to play. And he's going to play with force. He's going to play with energy. He's going to push the issue offensively and defensively. And he just, he has a defiance with how he plays, which is who he is.
Obviously, tougher campaign, obviously, to come play a game 2 days after he was acquired. But what did you like about what he did in 19 minutes? What stood out to you about him just kind of getting used to this year?
Yeah, he's still getting in shape. I mean, at the timeout 5 minutes into the game, I mean, he was really tired. And so I think we left him in for another minute, and then tried to space his runs so it's not too much too soon. But he'll get his legs quickly. I mean, he's a pro athlete, has been for a decade, and I like his feel for the game. I like his knowledge. He knows how to navigate, running a team, and so he's going to get there very quickly.
Just obviously Ben Mathurin and Obi Toppin obviously got a lot of run today. Not a lot in the first half. What stood out to you about those two guys just kind of keeping their, basically keeping those two guys keeping things going?
Yeah, I mean, we'll break down the film and see where all of our guys can do better. But Ben scores, and Obi, just has a knack for getting to the rim and finding open threes, and he did a good job of that. So I'd say that there were positives all around, but there's a lot of things to clean up as well. And so we got a pretty quick turnaround before we see San Antonio Monday, and so we'll go back to work.
What did you like and what didn't you like about just the center by committee, the guys that played tonight, the positives and negatives?
Thought they adjusted to the game pretty well. Oklahoma was small, playing a shooting big that was running around, and so that's challenging. So we had to figure out a way to make them pay on the inside, and our guys did a good job at the rim in the second half. Huff was a factor in there. Wiseman was a factor in there. And so, they adjusted well. I thought Tony Bradley did well in his short minutes. But we got to keep looking at it, and look, we're adjusting our system all the time to our personnel. I mean, this is going to be a different look in a lot of ways this year, and so plenty of work to do.
To get real game action with these guys has helped you build chemistry and kind of discover what's going on system-wise for you guys.
Yeah, I think every year, training camp, you're just hitting each other day in, day out. It's nice to finally go against somebody else to see how things actually work when the other team doesn't, know your offense by heart. So it's nice to get some run going against other people. 3
blocks for you today. At what point in your career or maybe basketball life did you realize that defense specifically around the basket was something you were good at, and how have you kind of worked it into what you try to do on the NBA game?
Roughly 8 years old, I think. I was always a little bit taller than most of my friends, and growing up, blocking shots was it was easy. I had very little remorse for blocking little kids who were younger than me. But yeah, it also was just a lot of fun. Like, that's one of the things I think that I grew to love about the game, is just getting block shots.
You played with Quentin in D.C. He had a nice outing tonight statistically before he got hurt. Where have you seen him be better than he was then, and what did you like about what he did today?
He's always been just a warrior. I think, when the Wizards let him go, I was shocked, because I think he's a phenomenal player that would fit any team. Every team needs a guy like Quentin. And, I'm really proud of where he is now. I think, this is a really good situation for him, and I'm rooting for him all the way. And I think that he's shown day in and day out what he can do.
Just obviously it's preseason, but what's it been like for you guys to have to adjust on the fly to the injuries that you've had just over the course of this week and the changes you've had to make?
It's always been next man up. That's something we learned even in the G League. So I think, especially when we have the bodies that we do, we have guys, whether it's training camp deals, what have you, it gives everybody a chance to play. And I think that's a really good thing. It gives guys experience and just, real game reps that you don't get from practice.
What was your reaction to Furphy's dunk?
Let's not talk about that one. Let's talk about the one where I cleared the runway for him, and he decided he was just going to lay it up over my back when in practice, the social media team posted that dunk 7 times, and then Furphy was like, "No, I didn't want to dunk on you." Come on, man. I've told him this exact same thing. I was pretty upset with him, but no, that Furphy dunk was pretty ridiculous. It's every day we see him do something like that. It's pretty crazy.
Jay, a lot of these guys, this group a lot of them went to the finals last year. Kind of what has impressed you about the culture of this team and the culture of this group?
Everything that we do, it has a purpose. And I think that's something that everybody's bought in on. We all, we do our job. We, do what it takes to win. And I think, you could see that from afar last year. And it's just cool to be a part of it now.
Taelon, a year ago you were, just transferring out of D2. Now you're, leading your team and scoring in a game like this. Have you, even thought about how quickly this has all happened and the opportunities you have in games like this?
In my position, I feel like you don't have time to, sit around and be in awe. You got to, last year at this time I was, jumping up and down watching these basketball games, being a big fan. Now it's like I'm on the court with some of the guys I was cheering for last year. So, it's just another day in the office for me now. So, got to, continue to try to get better. It's at the end of the day, it's just basketball. So,
18 points for you today, made some threes. How have you felt your comfortability with this team and with the unit you've been a part of develop even just since the start of training camp?
Yeah, definitely a lot easier transition than I expected. I got lucky enough and got drafted by such a great organization that values culture and a group of selfless guys that, took me under their wing and showed me the ropes early, and, it's showing out on the court. So
I just keep going on the culture piece of it. How much does the style of play just fit you? I think you knew that. I think when you got drafted, but how much has it played out for you in camp? The transition, the running, the opportunities you get there, and also the way it spaces for you to get some shots.
Yeah, I think they drafted me for a reason. At Liberty, we kind of played similar. I sprinted the corners, made shots, and we kind of played this randomized basketball on offense, and then, picking up full court on defense is, a little new, but nothing that, a little bit of hard work and, determination can't fix. So I would say, my year at Liberty definitely prepared me for how we play here.
How are you picking up on the defensive end? You had a couple steals tonight. How do you feel like you're doing on that end? Basically, what do you like about, what you've been able to accomplish there so far?
Yeah, I've surprised myself with, I've always been an offensive player. I've always been a guy that runs around and shoots threes and gets out and dunks, but I've never really put the time and effort into defense. And, I've kind of surprised myself with, what I'm able to do on the defensive end. And I think it's, been a big part of this transition and, doing whatever I can to get on the court and stay on the court. A lot of times that's what it takes. So like I said before, I'm willing to do whatever it takes to get out on the court. So, I've just been trusting my instincts and creating new habits.
What's it been like for you guys? Just you've obviously had some shakeups with the lineups because of the injuries and stuff like that. So what's it been like for you guys to have to kind of play on the fly and figure out, I guess, roles from unit to unit that change based on somebody going down?
Yeah, it's something in training camp. We mix it up a lot, and it's next man up. Everybody's looking for an opportunity, and there's never been a season where a full team stayed fully healthy. So you kind of knew something like this, maybe not as severe as it is, but we always kind of knew, and we're always prepared for opportunities and next man up. So whenever an opportunity presents itself, we got guys that are jumping and scratching for the opportunity. So.
After the game, Pat, you were talking. You said all thanks to God, or give God the glory. I'm just curious, what is your faith done for you with your basketball career?
I mean, just look at my journey. Like you said, D2 for 3 years. After my freshman year at college, I kind of gave up on my dreams of the NBA. Going D2, I thought it was over with. So, just for him to continue to, work on me and continue to open doors and, create opportunities for me to step into and make the most of them and, allow me to get to this point. It's nothing short of God and what he's done in my life. So, all glory to him, like I said.
Taelon, I know you're originally from Arkansas. Since being drafted here to Indiana, kind of what's it been like adjusting to living in Indiana? What's your thoughts on kind of this state? And I don't know, what's it felt like to be here?
Yeah, it's I played in Arkansas, small town in Arkansas, and then I went to Lynchburg, Virginia, where, there's not too much out there either. So, when I say this to people from Indiana, they're kind of shocked, but like, this is the biggest city I've lived in. I'm not used to seeing skyscrapers and stuff like that. So it's a step up from where I'm coming from. I'm enjoying it now. I can't wait for the winter. In Arkansas, you don't see snow too often, so I'm looking forward to it. Not looking forward to driving in it, but I live 5 minutes from the facility, so I can just walk. So
Ben Shepherd in his first season kind of had to go through something where he said his teammates kept telling him to shoot. Like they almost had to really put it into him, and he would pass up open looks a lot. I feel like since Summer League, even you have started to shoot more when you're open. Have you kind of had to go through that with, like, even though you're a rookie, they're telling you, dude, shoot? And if so, how have you kind of worked through that?
Absolutely. In my transition from D2 to Liberty last year, I started off really slow, and I didn't want to step on toes. I didn't want to take shots from guys. I wanted to be somebody everybody wanted to play with. And, when I got here after Summer League, it was like, people are going to want you to shoot. Like someone said, like, if Tyrese passed you the ball and you don't shoot it, he's not going to want to play with you, So that kind of put it into perspective. Like, I'm here for a reason. I can shoot the ball. So when I get an opportunity, shoot it, and especially in a preseason like this, like, I thought of it as like a second opportunity of Summer League. We're seeing a lot of the same guys, especially tonight, they kind of put a whooping on us in Summer League. So, I felt the need to get after it tonight. And like I said, the teammates, the guys, the selfless guys keep on encouraging me to shoot it. So I'm going to keep shooting it until they tell me not to. What a problem to have, not shooting it enough. So.